Yes guys, welcome back to episode 12 of What the Devil. Today, joined by Flex and Raf, we're going to be talking about Casemiro, Anthony, United Players IQ. Remember to listen on Spotify and Apple Podcasts if you can't watch on YouTube. Apart from that, we're going to get started with Casemiro. So a few weeks ago, we had a bit of a conversation about Casemiro, should we keep him, should we sell him? And I said that United should keep him and then buy someone to kind of bring into the team under him. But after the last couple games and his performances, I don't think I can back that point up anymore. Because against Liverpool, he started well, and then he had after 20 minutes, he kind of collapsed a bit. Against Chelsea, wasn't fantastic. Against Brentford, it's sad to see, and it's almost bemusing to see his decline from how he was last season. Then maybe beginning of this season as well, he was still scoring the goals. He was like a top scorer at one point. And then hamstring injury, he's come back, and it just feels like it's a different player. So I kind of want to repose the question again after the last few games. Should United be looking to get rid of him this summer?
I don't really see Casemiro as like a massive decline and fall off, if I'm honest.
Think?
I think he just scored more goals last year and was a scorer of big goals and showed us like parts of his experience and stuff. And has still scored some goals for us this season as well. I just think technically as a footballer, I don't think he's got any worse. I feel like I just feel like our team has become more open. So the spotlight on him is increased of the deficiencies that he has. Last year, we weren't conceding this many shots. No. We wasn't as open as this. So it hid the fact that if you do leave someone like Casemiro like that with massive spaces, he's going to get run past even more. Even last year, he still used to do that Casemiro special where he goes mad into a tackle and just go past him. He's always done that since he's come here. To the Premier League, he's done that. So I don't see it as he's all of a sudden, like in one summer, he's this terrible, terrible player. I think what's happened with our style this year and the lack of it transpiring into something new, I feel like he's then been more exposed than ever and can't protect Kobe. He can't man the midfield. Yeah. Too much gaps, too open. And then when you look at it from an on-the-ball perspective, this season, I mean, remember last season it was Casemiro, Eriksen, Bruno. That was our best midfield. You've got Eriksen in there making things tick. He was really good at that. He's not there anymore. So now the eyes are all on Casemiro at times as well in this open, expansive Man United midfield, and he don't want to play ball. There's been times in passages of play when we're trying to knock a few passes together. As soon as he gets Casemiro, no, I'm doing my Casemiro special into an area, that one that he hooks around the top, hooks around the side into a space. If he's got space and time, of course he's played for Real Madrid 10 years. Like, he can pick a pass. Like, if he's got space and time, he's not being pressed and it's in transition, he can, move the ball out to the right-hand side or hit a little bit of a diagonal pass. But it's not really his game. And I just think that those discrepancies, coupled with the fact of how much money he's on and how long he has left on his contract, if Saudi were to come in with how we need to rebuild this midfield, and how we want our midfield to be, I don't think it involves someone with Casemiro's skill set. I really don't. So I agree that we should take the money if it comes, if a substantial bid comes for Casemiro, because it helps us with our finances and how we move this squad on in general, because he's on a long contract and big money. And also stylistically, I think the partner for Kobe, we need to build this midfield around Kobe Mainoo, and that's not for me in the long term going to include Casemiro.
Yeah, I mean, I agree in the sense of he's being exposed. The style of play, the way we play, does not suit Casemiro's game at all, and it's completely different if you compare the way Mainoo and Bruno are being asked to play in comparison to how Modric and Kroos were playing at Real Madrid. It's a completely different style of football. And even Casemiro's been asked to play higher up the pitch than he was perhaps doing at Real Madrid. But I do think that there has been a bit of a decline because, yes, last season he was playing a similar style of play, like the Casemiro special that we know, going in hard or playing those passes one time without even looking.
He's always done that.
He's always done it. But this year, it's not working. It's not working. He's missing a lot of those challenges that was making sense, that was working last season. And those passes that he was making around the corner first time, a lot of them aren't working anymore. So I think what we're seeing is a mixture of things. Number one, his age. And, the Premier League is a physical league and it's a very fast-paced league, and his age is starting to have an effect on how he plays and how he's suited to the Premier League. And we're also seeing the manager's tactics have exposing Casemiro. In terms of whether we should sell him or not, I kind of like to find a balance in, yes, perhaps we need to look for an alternative solution, someone to play next to Kobe, but at the same time, I wouldn't rush to get rid of him because you don't want to be light in that midfield. And sometimes I think you also need to value the experience of Casemiro as well. Whether he should be on the wage that he's on now or not, that's another debate.
It's not going to change, yeah.
Yeah, however, I wouldn't rush to get rid of him because I think the likes of Kobe and whoever else we get in to play in that DM position can still learn.
So if Saudi came in and said, here's 35 million for Casemiro, and obviously they're going to take his £350,000 wages off the books, would you reject that offer then in saying, nah, I'm not in a rush to get rid of him for his experience, or would you take it?
I would initially reject it.
Would you?
Yeah, I would.
What, in the way that you think they would offer more, or?
I mean, it's not all about the money, especially from us as fans.
He's got 3 years left.
It depends.
$350K a week, bro.
If we can get 2 DMs, a younger one and an older one with a bit of experience, someone like De Jong or someone like that, then yeah, cool. Take the money, take Casemiro. But if it means that we're just getting rid of Casemiro and then getting another DM in, just one DM, no, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't sell Casemiro for 35 million. It's not all about the money.
I'll take 35 million for Casemiro in a heartbeat.
No.
I really think I would. And I just want to go back to the point you talked about Kobbie Mainoo and building the midfield around him. Mainoo did say the other day that he thinks his dream... So he was asked a question, who's your dream midfield partner? And he said Paul Scholes, who is very much a different type of player to Casemiro. And so it may be the better idea to get rid of Casemiro and don't buy a profile like him again.
Exactly
and instead,
that.
get someone more in the mould of Paul Scholes.
But in the interview, he also said that they would probably concede a lot of goals. So I think he's not necessarily saying that like the balance will necessarily work out well. And then in the interview as well, he said he's actually learnt a lot from Casemiro in regards to scanning as well, which is the sort of thing that I think you want to keep someone like Casemiro around for.
I feel like Kobbie's gonna, in terms of in the dressing room and how to train properly and experiences that he's been through, of course, listen, you've won what he's won and played with the players he's played with for how long he's done it. Your mind needs to be like a sponge as a young player around him about how to look after yourself, what you do and stuff like that. But as we can clearly see in the games, he is not the partner for Kobbie Mainoo. Like, Man United's core now, our nucleus, is Kobbie Mainoo. And we shouldn't even, I know it's like, don't put too much pressure on the kid, and it's like, no, if we want to build,
that's just what it is.
Like I said it this morning on the morning show, I was like, I was so reluctant to kind of do this and do that and with Kobbie, but his performances are making us do it. Like, there's no other way. Like, the kid's good enough. So our midfield needs to be centered about, when we build it, when we reconstruct it, because Bruno's another one as well, it's like, how do we get the best out of Kobbie Mainoo? Kobbie Mainoo is not the most mobile player. Like, he's fantastic on the ball, and he's going to keep going up gears. He's unbelievable. But even now, and he's still got some growing to do, he's only just about to turn 19, it's a joke. But he still isn't like that, like a Paulinho who can get about like a Declan Rice. The reason why we look at Kobbie in the England setup and say, wow, it's because you have got someone like a Rice who can just cover every blade of grass, do what needs to be done. Then obviously Jude is Jude or Foden's Foden. But I think his partner can't be like Casemiro. It's what you say. It isn't necessarily go and get Scholes, because like you said, will be open as hell. Someone who can't tackle but is world class like Paul Scholes. We don't need that either. What we need is a combative, physical midfielder who can also play ball, who can cover a lot of grass. Because for me, I don't know how you guys feel, and we're talking about Kobbie a lot because it's what Casemiro has given us or lack of. Kobbie needs to play further forward. Kobbie is like a lone six for me. I don't see him there.
No, it doesn't work.
Me personally, I don't see him there.
It's a waste of a lot of
It's a waste of a lot. So he
back.
either needs to play in a pivot with somebody who's really physical and can cover a lot of grass so he can go and get involved and just be an out-and-out 8 with 2 8s if our manager wants to do that. Or he needs to play further up the pitch. So Casemiro, I just don't think is going to help accompany that.
Yeah, but Flex, I agree that Kobbie would be much better with another partner next to him. We need to replace Casemiro in the starting 11, but don't you think it would still be beneficial to have Casemiro on the bench?
Yeah, I don't think that'd be detrimental.
That's what I'm saying. I wouldn't want to sell him.
No, but the problem is, Raf, is that we're trying to rebuild a team, and if we're trying to be better economically viable and more sustainable with the decisions that we've made, we've got to undo the sins of the past. And you got to start right at the top of the food chain in terms of what is the longevity of Casemiro? What is the future of Casemiro being here? Like, and I'm not disrespecting him. He from now to the season, he can still get us big goals. You know, in the semi-final at Wembley, he can come up with a header, or he might win us the FA Cup. I'm not discrediting, because I think when people hear you kind of talk about Casemiro, it's like, oh, you're crazy, he's won 5 Champions. It's about what he's doing now in what we're trying to do, what we're trying to build. And Casemiro, there's no longevity in it, bro. I'm like, if the money comes in, we have to take it.
I would be more in a rush to get rid of Scott McTominay. I would rather get rid of Scott McTominay first than Casemiro. And we have to be realistic as to how many people we're going to get rid of this summer. Because, yeah, we can say 10 to 12 names that we would like to get rid of. But if we're being realistic, because we need to think about how many players we can afford to sign, I'd rather get rid of McTominay. I know Eriksen won't give us much money, but he's not that useful at the moment as well. There's other midfielders that I'll get rid of before Casemiro.
But he's on the, I don't know, man. I just think because he's like so difficult to sell, if there's a way that you can sell him, you have. Saudi are the only people who are going to take him.
Probably.
I can't see it unless he's going to take a pay deduction. It's not going to happen. Yeah. Saudi's the only team.
I think as well with Casemiro is, for all the positives he still does bring to United, like he's still a very experienced player. He comes up with these clutch moments.
Got a lot of passion.
And he's brilliant. I like, as an individual, I do still really like him.
Agreed.
But being pragmatic about who you can get in the world of football, there's definitely players out there who can probably still do the same job that Casemiro is doing now.
Because stylistically,
maybe they're more limited. Maybe they're more limited, but they'll be better at just sitting there and being able to, like as you said, cover the grass, put in those tackles that aren't as dramatic. Another thing, the Casemiro that does irk me is how dramatic some of his challenges are. Like he will fly in at a million miles an hour, and then other times he'll let
Diaz when he went past him.
Yeah, was it Diaz and I think it was against Chelsea, just like jog back and someone ran straight past him. I'm just like, what are you doing? You can get someone who will just stick a foot in.
But that's because he don't have legs like that. Like he can't. Yeah. If you get into in a 1v1 situation, he's in big trouble. He's not good in 1v1 situations, and in the Premier League, in what we're trying to build.
Yeah, but maybe if the style of play changes, i.e., I know we're not talking about this today, but if there is a different manager, maybe another manager can change the style of play and make it better suited to Casemiro as well.
That's true.
But he is 32. So if you're changing the style of play for Casemiro and then he's off within the next 2 seasons anyway, you then need to bring in another player and then change the style again.
Yeah.
I just feel like if you can sell him for, let's say you said 35 million, you can probably buy a player who's 27, 28, played in top 5 leagues, played Champions League games, or even still in the Premier League. Like I don't know how many years Paulini's got in his contract left at Fulham. You can get a player for the money you sell Casemiro for.
Love to get Paulini.
Paulini is a fantastic player, and I saw obviously Bayern really wanted him last summer. And it just like there are so many people out there who can do Casemiro's job without all the extra stuff around Casemiro, either for better or for worse. So maybe let fewer clutch goals, but also fewer just ridiculous moments in midfield.
Yeah, I agree.
And yeah, it's kind of sad because obviously last season he was fantastic. And I remember when he first came in and he started playing those passes, I was like, who is this guy? I thought he would just sit there and tackle, and he's playing all these amazing passes, scoring 7 or 8 goals.
Like, I really don't want it to come across like, oh, whatever, he's crap. Like, some people do feel like that, but no. I just feel that when you look at it with all facets, it's like, I think it's more of a hindrance than a help.
Yeah, at this point,
there's more cons than pros for me.
He's done his duty in what we've had him for a couple of years. I think the 4 or 5 year.
Which was the problem with the transfer in the whole. Listen, we paid 70 million and gave Casemiro a 5-year deal.
Yeah.
That's all wrong. That should never happen. Really, we should never have gone for Casemiro. But in true Man United style, which Ineos are trying to undo, by the way, which is why I think if the money comes in for him, they would absolutely take it. In true Man United style, under the old regime, there's a player from bloody Real Madrid who's on his way out because look at Real Madrid, they're getting the Camavinga and Tchouameni, mate.
They're switching up.
Modric don't play no more that much. Kroos is on the bench. Like,
they still have Modric and they still have.
Yeah, Kroos. but that's different because they're an elite football institution that have run properly and they have the two there. Like it's fine. They're playing Tchouameni and Camavinga and Valverde.
Yeah.
Sheer mobility.
Yeah.
Sheer
But then
mobility.
what my point is that they still have those experienced players who are helping the likes of Camavinga.
But he saw it as, I ain't going to play here. I need to get out. Do you know what I mean? Same with Varane. Like, and I love Varane, but we can't keep doing it. We can't. We've got to undo that, man.
Yeah, and also the final thing I just want to say about what you said about still having Modric and Kroos is they also have the players underneath and behind them, like Tchouameni, who can play 25 games that therefore Kroos and Modric don't have to waste their legs on.
Yeah.
I mean, like if we had Casemiro and we also had two other solid DMs,
Great.
he could play for another 2 years at the club.
Yeah.
Fine,
That's
perfect.
my
Bring
point,
him
yeah.
in 30 games a season. But at this point, that's something that should have happened 2 years ago when we
Yeah.
first signed him. Now his legs are wasting, like you can just tell. And there's no point saying, oh, we should bring someone in to kind of keep him where he is. Because if we keep Casemiro where he is and he continues playing like this, even for 25 games a season, it's not beneficial to United.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
And I think next we're going to play a game. So we're going to play a game that's called Avoid My Answer. So what's going to happen is I'm going to ask you to name something, and I've already answered the question. I've written my name down for it.
Right.
You two have to guess. You two have to say a name, and it has to not be who I've already written down.
Yeah.
So for starters, we're going to go with the first one. Name a Man United player who cost more than 50 million. You can pick one each. You can't pick the same answer.
I need to make sure you haven't said it, innit?
And whoever avoids my answer more often wins.
Okay, I got one, yeah.
Each point. Flex, who are you saying?
Lukaku.
Oh.
Did you go with Lukaku as
I
well?
was going to say that, yeah. I'll say a different one. Maguire.
Mine was Casemiro, so you guys avoided that answer.
Good.
Nice. Good start.
We should have known it'd be Casemiro.
Yeah. Number two.
So what's that, 1-1? Or not?
Yeah, well, you just, guys, you don't get a... I don't know, what's the opposite of a point?
No, we get a point for avoiding, no?
You point for avoiding, fair
Yeah,
enough.
so we'll see who gets the most points.
Number two, name a current Man United first-team defender. So a defender who's played at least a minute for the senior team this season.
But you could have put anything.
You should have gone for.
Have I gone obvious? Have I gone obscure? Have I gone in the middle?
A Man United defender.
Yeah.
There's so many. The chances of me picking the one, surely not.
Who's
I'm
played
gonna
this
go. No, because I think you're gonna do him because he's flavour of the month now. I'm gonna say Martinez.
Who are you saying, Raf?
Kwambala.
I've gone with Lindelof.
Nice.
Well done,
I thought
you
you might
two.
go Campbell
Avoided
because
it.
he just played the last game. You know what I
I thought
mean?
that would have been too obvious, man.
Okay, fair enough.
Next one.
Is that 2-2?
Name a player who has scored against United in a Champions League final. So United have been in 5 Champions League finals.
Yeah.
Name a player who scored against United.
Do we go?
And I won't give you a point, by the way, if your answer's wrong.
David Villa.
Messi.
I said Frank Lampard.
Nice.
Well done, you two.
Yes.
Avoided it again. Next one. Name a permanent Man United manager since 1950.
Okay. Do I go?
And if you guys are at home, make sure to play along. Let us know what your score is.
Who would you have gone for? I think you might have picked him. I'll go with my gut. I'll say David Moyes.
Raf, who are you saying?
Van Gaal.
I said Ron Atkinson.
Oh.
Nice.
Done.
Do you know what? I swear to you, I was like, Dylan's gonna the old ones he might not really go for. So let me just show my age and go old school. And I'm glad I didn't.
Next one. Name an all-time top 10 Man United goal scorer.
Okay.
What's your brain gonna do?
What are you thinking, Raf?
I'm thinking, do I go older or do I go more? I'm going to go Wayne Rooney.
Wayne Rooney, who are you saying, Flex?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I wouldn't have done that.
Nah, I think he's not going to go
You
older.
don't think he's gonna go that? Actually, this one's too bait. So let me change it. Andy Cole.
I've said Ryan Giggs.
I was gonna go with Giggsy as well. I was gonna go with Giggsy.
Clutch.
I was.
You guys have avoided my answers every time
changed
so
it.
far.
Yeah.
What's that, 4-4? Is that the
4-4?
fourth
4-4.
one, yeah?
Name a player who was on the bench in the most recent game against Liverpool.
He was on the bench.
Yeah. Started on the bench.
Okay.
Who are you
I'm
saying?
going to go with Amrabat.
Who are you going with, Flex?
I don't want to go this one because that's going to be his person. So I'm going to say.
I know who his person is.
I know his person's going to be. I'm going to say Christian Eriksen.
Who do you think our person was?
Mason Mount.
I was going to say Anthony.
Christian Eriksen it was.
Fuck!
Yeah.
No! No!
Written down right there, Christian
No!
Eriksen.
No, but you look like Mason Mount. You're supposed to go Mason Mount. That's your thing. Shit!
My whole personality, man, is Mason Mount.
No! Eriksen, he never plays. Why did you pick him?
Because I thought one of you would say it.
Oh, Dylan, no.
Next one.
I'm losing. What's that? 5-4?
Name a
5-4.
Louis van Gaal signing for United.
Okay.
Who are you going with, Flex?
I'm gonna go with. No, that's too. Di Maria.
Oh,
Rafa,
he
you
went
going
there. Daily Blind.
Put Marcus Rojo.
Nice. Yes.
Well done, you two. Name a Man United player who's currently on loan. A senior squad player.
Okay. There's quite a few there.
Or who've at least played.
Dan
in the
Gore.
seniors. Dan Gore.
I am
Go.
going to go with. Who's still on loan now?
It's loads, bro.
I could have gone obscure, I could have gone
Yeah.
really obvious.
There's loads.
Oh, are you going to go with this one? Brandon Williams.
Said Jadon Sancho.
Yeah.
Nice.
I was gonna say Joe Hugo.
That's a rogue one.
Yeah.
Name a season Sir Alex Ferguson won a Premier League title in. So you've A, got to avoid mine, and B, make sure that you actually got it right.
Yeah.
I've got them all written down here. It's just a massive string of
He's
numbers.
not going obvious. You're not going obvious, are you?
What do you count as obvious?
I don't know. You tell me.
But you're the one answering.
I'm going to go with 99.
99, you're going with.
I mean, oh.
I'm winning, Flex.
It's true, you got a little
Yeah.
leeway. 96.
I've gone 08, 09.
Yes.
Well done, you both avoided it. Final one. Name a David Beckham shirt number he wore at United. He's got 6 of them. This is according to Transfer Market.
Oh, now I'm stitched up here.
25.
I'm going to go 7.
14. According to Transfer Market, he didn't wear 25.
Did he not wear 25, so I'm wrong then.
28, 24, 15, 14, 10 and 7.
I swear he had a 25.
Go simple. Go 7.
Two
Yeah,
down
so-
now. Oh no, but he didn't get it right either though, did he? Oh no,
No.
you did.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
you said
said
7.
7.
Yeah,
I
it's the simple one just
He
wraps
got,
up.
he got 10 out of 10, you got 8 out of 10.
Shit. Hey,
Superior
do.
ball knowledge.
That's what I do.
the obvious ones. Yeah.
It's not ball knowledge. It's just play with the options. It's not ball
Yeah,
knowledge
true.
at all.
And speaking of ball knowledge, the next thing I want to bring up is a thing about Man United's intelligence. So the last week, the last 10 days,
Oh, what?
our results have been genuinely ridiculous. We've been leading in every game. We've conceded goals to either lose or draw the game beyond the 80th minute. 2 of them in, obviously, the Chelsea game that everyone wants to forget. The Brentford game, which was just stupid beyond it. The whole thing I just find so dumb. And I just want to pose a question, not to be harsh, but are the United players a bit dumb as well in terms of the lack of football intelligence?
Not to be harsh, but are they done?
Because I feel like a thing that's missing from our squad is there's just sometimes just a lack of footballing IQ. And I think that's one thing that makes Kobbie Mainoo stand out so well, is he seems to just be a lot more make a lot more intelligent decisions in terms of when to pass, when to run, when to stay back, blah, 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 than some of the other players in the squad who should be incredibly experienced people. I just feel like maybe in the transfer window, it'd be a good idea to go for people who just show signs of basic intelligence. Because that's something that Sofian Amrabat was meant to have. Was meant to do the basics well, etc., but it just hasn't really worked out. I think that a lot of the time, players are just making really random, stupid decisions, which are costing us entire games, like lunging in when you don't need to, etc.
Yeah, I
Just
think
the
we're
small
seeing
things.
what I think we're seeing is 3 things. Firstly, the pressure getting to them, and then that's causing the second thing, which is a lack of composure, and then the third thing is a lack of players with great technical ability to really hold on to the ball.
Yeah.
We were
trust in
watching.
yourself, yeah.
Exactly. We were watching the match view, and we saw Ten Hag say, this was the game against Chelsea, and we saw Ten Hag say, hold on to the ball, pass the ball. He was literally doing that.
Yeah,
pass
he
the
literally
ball,
did.
right?
Yeah.
And then 2 minutes later, we concede 2 goals. That is, as I said, it's the pressure, it's composure, but it's also, we can't hold on to the ball. And it's not just something that we see in the last 2 minutes. it's something we see from the first minute of the game right to the end. We don't hold on to the ball for 5 minutes of the game. So I agree. I think when it comes to the summer market, we need to look at not just the best players in the world, but players who can hold on to the ball. When you look at Pep Guardiola's style of football and how he controls the game, and they don't concede goals in the last minute. That rarely happens in Man City, but it's because they have the likes of Foden, Bernardo Silva, even at the back with John Stones, players who can hold on to the ball even in those dire moments, even when the crowds are on you, even when there's a lot of pressure and you need the points, they can hold on to the ball, and that's what we need as well.
Yeah, so I know you said it in a harsh way, but it's all of those things. It's character, it's mentality, and its ability as well, because like you said, we don't have technically sound players. But I still believe they can be a bit more competent than they're showing in terms of just the belief to go and play. And it's the wounds as well. So what I mean by that is that they're getting scarred from the time before and the time before that and the time before that.
And
so
it's happening again and again.
Exactly. So Wan-Bissaka in that moment in the 81st minute, whatever it was against Harvey Elliott, don't get twisted. Chelsea's playing on his mind. Like in that moment, like don't get twisted in the Chelsea one. Brentford was playing on their mind. Like, do you know what I mean? It happens too often, and that's what the top pros are able to kind of switch on, or should I say manage. Like, what's the past experience you've gone through for that season where you've got like trauma that was only around the corner? How do you put it to the back of your head to come through it? And because we're not doing it, when we're getting into good positions, we're wilting. Like against Liverpool, I don't know what you guys feel. I sit in the stands, yeah, and after I'd calmed down from celebrating Kobe's thing and then sit down for the restart, I looked at the clock and I went,
"This is a long time.
This is a long time." And I went, and it feels horrible that was my first thought after such jubilant scenes. It was crazy in the stands. Oh my God.
I can imagine.
But literally, as soon as they blow off for the next, and then Liverpool had the ball, and I was like, even though we had another chance after, I think Kelly, there was a chance in it after that.
Well, Anthony had a chance right at the death.
Oh, yeah. But anyway, I was like, I can't see us holding on for like 20, 25 minutes. I think that's too long. This team doesn't have it. And also Liverpool going to smell blood. Yeah. Someone's going to make a mistake. Someone's going to do something. Then we got to when there's 10 minutes left. Because we managed to hold on, like not hold on, but be all right for like 10 minutes after that.
Yeah.
Up until like the 80, till the penalty happened.
Yeah.
We were given as good as we got.
Yeah.
But there's that thing that's there. So they are not great at handling that pressure. They can't handle the emotions very well. I've said it from the start of the season. Remember when the Odegaard thing happened, when we conceded straight away after we scored at Arsenal?
Yeah.
And do you know what I mean? Because I said we don't manage the individual situations well. We've done the same against Spurs. We had a 20-minute period. We should have scored away from home. We're on them, playing well. There's a little bit of adversity for a little bit. Goal.
But I can't remember a period of time in the last few years in which we've scored a goal and I'm so worried that we're going to concede a goal again.
Yeah.
And we've actually gone on to do it.
Yeah.
Like under some of the previous managers, even last season under Ten Hag, we've been able to close out games. So do you put some of this on the manager? Because sometimes I think, why are we still playing this open football, this expansive football in the last few minutes? Why are you taking off Højlund, who's strong and knows how to hold on the ball in the last few minutes of the game? Do you not put any of it on the manager? Ole was able to hold on to results against the likes of City and Chelsea and some of the other teams. Van Gaal did it against Liverpool as well. So why is it that it's suddenly an issue now when we haven't had great technical players in the last few years either?
Well, I think Ten Hag has tried to do that. So like against Liverpool, we went 2-1 up and then he brought on Amrabat for Højlund. So he took Højlund off, and Højlund, there might be a fitness thing there, whatever. And realistically, we're not looking for a goal as much as we would have been if it was 1-1, because we were 2-1 up. And he did bring on Amrabat, who is a defensive midfielder and who is meant to be like a kind of strong, solid guy. And then Wan-Bissaka with a penalty. And the other thing, just to mention with those goals, conceding the goals, like Palmer's 2, the Brentford 1, and the Liverpool 1, they all came down our left. So as in our defensive left-hand side, all 4 goals were from there. And so just to continue on the point of what you're saying, like there might be a slight scarring issue there, is we concede from the left-hand side.
Liverpool penalty,
and then,
same thing.
And and then so the Liverpool penalty came from the left, Cole Palmer, it was that corner, and the penalty was Madueke running down in front of Dalot on that side.
And it doesn't matter if it's Dalot or Wan-Bissaka, they've both played their part in sort of
it
that
might
collapse.
be because they're both right backs, and so dealing with the situation on that side might not be as great. And obviously, that's then a further issue about our defensive struggles at left backs and letting go of Sergio Reguilón when we had no left backs and all that. But that's obviously a very separate matter. But and you also mentioned about Man City being very good at closing out games. One thing that always lives rent-free in my head is when we played them at Old Trafford, I want to say maybe 6 years ago now, they were like 2-1 up. Do you remember when they held the ball in the corner? I don't know if you remember this. It's like Kyle Walker and I think Foden. Yeah. They were doing this thing where they were holding the ball in the corner. It might have been Sterling for about 6 or 7 minutes, and we could not get hold of the ball, and they just stood there.
It's like
and the whole crowd were just laughing.
Yeah.
And like I've barely ever seen us do that. I've seen situations where we're winning 2-1, Bruno Fernandes takes a shot from 25 yards. With 2 minutes left, we lose the ball. Years ago when we were 1-0 up against Chelsea and Memphis Depay tries to dribble in the box, he gets tackled. Chelsea then go up again and score on the other end in the 96th minute. It's a reoccurring problem. Yeah. That wasn't a stutter, that was me trying to make a point. At United, that just seems to be beyond the manager's fault because it happened like so many
times.
Players got to take
accountability, and that's the thing. Yeah, that's the thing.
And I think it's just because we're buying players who may be fantastic players who under previous managers at other clubs have looked brilliant, and then it's come here and we're just kind of going, do the same thing. Yeah. And they're going, do what? The manager tells me what to do. And like it seems players don't just necessarily have the intuition.
It's all down to accountability. Yeah, it's just accountability, confidence, and ability really. And I think some of our players display certain deficiencies in all three of them. You know, some just aren't good enough to keep the ball. Some aren't brave enough to keep the ball. And some just are scared as well.
Some of them just disappear a little bit.
They just disappear and they will. And then collectively as a team, we don't have, in my opinion, like a bunch of leaders like in that, like who's gonna grip up someone in the dressing room and say, you keep the fucking ball. What are you doing? Like that level of like, one thing I was really listening to before we started recording when you said about when I was with Rio and Evra. Honestly, it was fascinating, like just listening to them talk. Because one thing is they're talking to me, but then obviously because they're friends, they do a lot of talk. Like, so I'm just like, I just can't believe it. This is a big kid. I'm just like this. Rio's there, Evra's there. I'm just going like this, right? Yeah. But the things they're talking about, Evra's going, remember Rio? Remember when I gave the ball away at thingy, I don't know, Middlesbrough away or something. Yeah, and the gaffer come in, Sir Alex come in afterwards, and you was in the dressing room, and you said this, effing hell, why are you doing this for? These boys don't have that, Rio, do they? And Rio's going, yeah, they're in the dressing room. I'm just like, this is mental. Like, but it's also very alarming at the same time. Like, obviously I'm like shell-shocked because I'm like with these two legends, but actually, I'm actually taking in information of what they're saying. And it's like, we are so far away from having the right type of people in the dressing room. Leaders, real leaders.
How do we know that though, Flex?
How
do we know that these things that happened back in those days aren't happening now as well?
I think because you can see it. You can see it on the pitch. You can see with the lack of accountability. You can see in terms of, Ollie said in the overlap of the same crop of players, someone didn't want the armband, bro. Yeah. Like, we know. Like, do you know what I mean? And I'm not saying like none of them have any minerals or passion, because they do have some passion, but of what is needed at the top level to do it, we don't possess it.
I do think some of it happens because of injuries, and I hate the excuse of injuries. I honestly do, but I think, to me, if Varane and Martinez are on the pitch, it's not necessarily that they're going to be the ones to make the tackle, but I don't think that happens. I don't think we capitulate the way we did against Brentford, Chelsea and Liverpool, especially 3 games in a row. I think if Luke Shaw's on that left-hand side, I don't think that happens. So do you guys not think that some of it is actually a result of our injuries?
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah, you can't say it's not.
Last season.
Can't say it's not, but also the fact that is an injury and Luke Shaw's been injured all the time means you got to move on from it.
Replace him.
Again, it just gives you a different. That's just what that is you're 100% right, but it's pivoting the conversation onto like a different part of the blame game, which is actually also valid, because the fact that Luke Shaw keeps getting injured and we're waiting for him to just be consistent and be solid for 2, 3, 4, 5 years in a row, we're never going to see that. We need to move on. Our other left back in Malacia, the reports today, showing what difficult time he's had with his knee. We don't know how he's going to come back. Do we need 2 left backs? staying too long in these players that have, in Luke Shaw's case, been here through multiple managers, and it's time to move on.
I guess it's the open heart surgery that Ragnick was talking about. You know, what's happening this season is a lot of players are being exposed. The club is being exposed, and we can see that there are players who are fragile, both physically and mentally, and they need to move away from the club. And players who are just not technically gifted to the level that Manchester United players should be. So going into the summer with our, new sort of part owners, we need to make new signings and make the right signings as well. Which is why what I'm happy about is the signings that we're making at the moment in the infrastructure, and hopefully the people that are coming in to the people who are coming in and joining the board, hopefully they can sign the players with the higher level IQ or footballing IQ that can help us to progress further and stop this rubbish from happening.
I think the injuries, they're a reason for this stuff happening, but they aren't an excuse.
Yeah.
You should still, if you've got a squad of 26 players, you should have a squad of 26 players who can play football. Okay, yes, if your best player, a couple of your best players are out, fine. You should have people behind them who are 80% as good as them, and so therefore, on any given day, would be able to do a job.
Yeah.
And I just feel that it comes back to, in the end, that, when you said about signings, about signing the right players, I think it should be players who just show themselves to be intelligent people, intelligent footballers. I'm not saying intelligent people because they are footballers. And I'm kind of hoping that's obviously the approach that Ineos take, is a slightly more Moneyball-esque approach to signings rather than just throwing your name, throwing cash at the biggest players.
Got to change, the whole recruitment's got to change, and that's why Jason Wilcock's coming in and Dan Ashworth coming in and Omar Brada's already there. That's why it's good what Sir Jim Ratcliffe's done. He hasn't just come in and said, I'm going to do it all, or I know Dave Brailsford or Jean-Claude Blanc could just be the CEO because he's my guy. No, we're going to go and assemble this team. Assemble the team means to go around and scour the industry for people who are top at their jobs, and in the people we've brought in or that are on their way / here already, they're top people in their jobs, which is why it's taken a while as well. Good people are usually in good jobs, which means it's difficult to get them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that, when fans I've seen, I've even got Dan Ashworth here, we're not going for the summer and this, that and the other, and Omar Brada don't start till then, and Jason, it takes time to assemble the best, because these guys got prior engagements. They're not just sitting there on, doing nothing. Yeah. Like they are now on gardening leave. Do you know what I mean? So, this is why they have to change the recruitment, because
I do hope that on the basis that Ten Hag stays, let's say he does, I do hope he accepts the head coach role rather than the managerial, because obviously there's been a lot about kind of taking the recruitment process away from him, because there's been a lot about Ten Hag requesting specific signings, and those specific signings haven't turned out the way that people hoped, and it might be just because they're very much Ten Hag wants this player, whereas if he then says to recruitment things, I want this style of player, they then go somewhere else and they find the list of 5 people and go, right, we're going to sit down with Ten Hag and we're going to sign one of these 5. And if Ten Hag's exact player isn't on the list, too bad he's not on the list. Because one of them is Anthony. Anthony's come in specifically on request from Ten Hag and really not performed the way that we'd hoped to, especially this season. But saying that, he does deserve massive credit for his display against Chelsea, bar giving away a penalty. Yeah. He was fantastic against Chelsea.
Best game in the United shirt.
Because it was awesome to watch him, and he also showed signs of confidence as well. He was going around, honestly, for the first time, he was going round people. There was that minute where he played a late ball across the goal on his left foot. He didn't cut in, and it was just so refreshing to see. And obviously, he didn't play against Liverpool, and then he did have a chance at the end, which maybe he'd scored.
He came on and was good against Liverpool, though.
But he overall was good. Yeah. And there may be scope for him not to go this summer, because I think he'll start against Bournemouth. I kind of hope he does, because
Rashford's injured, isn't it?
Yeah, Rashford's a bit touch and go. So if it's, say, Garnacho on the left, where it's his best position, Hoyland up front, Anthony on the right, hopefully he's able to do replicate or similar what he did against Chelsea, with outside of the foot assists, playing nice passes over the top, cross ball, all of that. I think there is scope for him to kind of save his career at United, because obviously Sir Alex Ferguson had that vague rule of if you're not impacting after 2 years, you're gone. But he does have a few games now to potentially show himself as at least somewhat of an asset. Maybe not the £82 million player that we thought he'd be, but something.
Yeah, I mean, I've always sort of thought, although he deserved criticism, I always thought Anthony was probably we were probably a little bit too harsh on Anthony to begin with. The price tag is not set by him at the end of the day. So when he came in, it's not like, or to me anyway, I didn't expect him to be an 80 or 90 million pound player. I think we all knew that we overpaid for him. But at the same time, I don't think he was that bad last season to the extent of people saying that, oh, he needs to go, don't play him.
Last season wasn't as bad as people made out.
Yeah,
He was all right.
and then this season, obviously, there was that difficult beginning or awkward beginning at the start. And I also feel the changing of players he's playing with doesn't help him either. Even though Wan-Bissaka, we know he's not the best going forward, I think him and Wan-Bissaka on that right-hand side was actually not, well, last season especially, they were forming a decent partnership. It was starting to work. And I think on his right foot, he's not bad. He doesn't do it enough, which is what the problem is. But on his right foot, he's actually okay. I mean, he scored a good goal against Chelsea on his right foot. We've seen him, against Liverpool on his right foot. We've seen him go down the wing as well. When he does it, he's good at it. The problem is that he doesn't do it enough. And I think Bournemouth is a great opportunity for him to show that, look, it's not just a one-off, because some people can say that, yeah, he was playing against Cucurella. He isn't the greatest of left-backs. So hopefully against Bournemouth and the rest of the season, he can show that, look, he still wants to play for the club and he has a place in this team going forward.
Yeah, he's there's severe limitations in his game. Like from the eye test,
sure.
There's so much that he doesn't do right, and there's lots of parts of his game where you're like, you're not a good footballer. I'll just be honest, like the things that you do with the ball, the decisions you make. But one thing he does do is work extremely hard.
Yeah.
And you can clearly see when he was at his lowest point, which is, he hasn't necessarily overturned that yet in a game and a bit.
Yeah.
So it's too early to say that. But you can see that I don't think this kid is as bad as this. There's a lot more to this. Like I said, the stuff he's had to deal with outside of football, that's clearly messed him up, in my opinion. Dalot spoke about it, or I think he spoke about it, saying how Dalot's one of his guys that he goes to, and you can see when he's celebrated a couple of times, people laugh at him for crying and all that, but like, you know, when he scored against Newport with his right foot, you know, he was like, do you know what I mean? You can tell that inside him, he's going through it. Come to a new country, doesn't speak the language or learning to speak the language still, got that court case and situation that he's got hanging over him, lost his place at Man United, everyone's clowning him. You could tell he's not going through it, but on top of that, you look at it ability-wise, even from the season before, and I'm like, because again, we've paid 80 million for him, so you're like, nah, what's going on here? How have we allowed this to happen? Well, this could go down as one of the worst buys ever, because that's how bad he was playing. But in the last couple of games, the way that we criticise players, the same with Harry Maguire, when it was time to criticise him at the right times, and he's turned it around, the door is always open for players to turn it around. You know, don't get me wrong, there's not many games left this year, and what's the maximum Man United could do? I don't think we're not going to get Champions League.
No, it's just the FA Cup.
And the FA Cup.
I would give him another half a season. I'll give him to the end of this year, as in the end of 2024, and see if he can break his way into the team. If he can't, then I don't think it's ever going to happen.
If by this time next year,
he hasn't got long left to prove.
That would be I'm assuming he signed a 5-year deal. Most players do for 5
5
years, then plus the 1-year option.
Yeah, I think he's got to be, especially if the manager changes. He might have a big problem then.
True.
Because Erik ten Hag will vouch by him, and Erik ten Hag obviously was adamant in him coming here. Yeah, it might not be Erik ten Hag's fault that it was £80 million, but he helped push the move because he really wanted this guy and said, he didn't go, okay, I do really want him, but if they're charging 80, then let's not do it because he's not worth that. He said, no, like, just get me him. So he is part of this, Erik ten Hag. And so long as he's here, like he's said in the press conferences, I know what he can do. I believe in him. You know, he's his guy, so he should do that. So as long as Erik ten Hag's here, the door will always be open for Anthony to do something special. But if the manager changes, or under the new regime, even if Ten Hag is here, some money comes in for Anthony that they look at and go, well, we paid 80 million, forget 80 million, never going to recoup that. If like 45, 50 million came in for Anthony, you're going to bite the hand off.
Straight away.
So it's interesting for him. I think the best thing Anthony could do is just keep positive, keep pushing hard, be mentally strong, and do what he looks like he's starting to do now against Chelsea. If we saw that every game, bar the penalty.
That's pretty decent.
That's what we want. That's what we thought we were buying. We should have bought it for 40 instead of 80, but that's what we want. Liverpool, when he came on, the crowd was up in my block because he ran after Diaz a couple of times, kicked him, got the ball, played a couple of nice little passes. So if he can start against Bournemouth, which is, like you're saying, quite likely, have a good game there, he could play his way in.
Yeah, Ten Hag did say at the end of the Chelsea game, he was like, that's the Anthony I know.
Yeah.
Because he did manage him at Ajax. He knows how good
him.
Anthony can be. And I think the big difference, kind of linking back to what we first talked about at the beginning of the pod with Casemiro, the big difference they have, obviously, is the age.
Yeah.
Casemiro, the chances of Casemiro now becoming good again are quite slim because Casemiro has already been a world-class, bona fide, brilliant player, and he's 32. Anthony is 23, 24,
or something.
I believe. So he's obviously got time to kind of settle in as he adjusts. He settled in. He's trying to settle in. He's adjusting. There's loads of outside matters beyond his control, both in Brazil and in England. There is scope. There is a path for him, but I think a lot of it. I think a lot of it comes down to Anthony needs to take a risk on himself. He needs to take a chance on himself. Because I feel like if he plays what he's done so far this season, is he's played within himself. He's stuck to his left foot. He's stuck to cutting in. He's stuck to that shot he always does.
Yeah.
But against Chelsea, he didn't stick to it.
Yeah.
He stuck to what he decided to go down the right. I know with that part, that was a dream cross from most strikers.
Brilliant.
But because he never does it, Højlund wasn't there, Garnacho wasn't there because they weren't expecting it because he never does it.
But it's exactly that. It's the confidence, which is what I was trying to get at the start, in that we know he can do it. I've seen it. Even the shot on his left foot, when it works, I mean, when it works, it's good, yeah, obviously. But he is not a bad footballer. He is a good footballer. There's a good footballer in him. In order to become a good enough footballer, it's about doing it consistently, and it's about having the confidence to actually take on your man. If you're going to be a winger and you're too scared to take on your man and go down the line, forget about it. And the problem that he has is that you've got the likes of Diallo and you have Garnacho, who also want his position, who want that right wing position, and both of them are confident players. Yeah. So if you're not going to be as confident as them, and they're younger than you, then forget about it.
Especially Garnacho, because Garnacho has come from the left to the right and has made that position his own this season. There's been levels of inconsistency in his game and things he needs to sharpen up on, but people forget this is, it was his breakthrough season only last year, and he was playing patchy here and there coming off the bench. This is his first season of actual being a starter. That's a lot on his shoulders in an underperforming Man United team like this, and Garnacho's up there for one of the players of the season, in my opinion. It'd probably be Dalot, but actually when you look at what Garnacho's had to do from a young age in terms of, Marcus Rashford's not doing anything. Højlund was taking a little bit of time. Anthony, the £80 million guy, was nowhere to be seen. The £77 million guy went on strike, and then Sanchez ended up going back to the... It's all on this one kid. Yeah. And he's had to just play different positions, run himself into the ground, play minute after minute after minute.
It's like 30 or 31 games in a
row. Insane. Yeah. So he's up there for, he's up there as one of the players of the season. So this is who Anthony has to win the shirt back off. Because as far as I'm concerned, Garnacho's our starting right winger. And even that, it shouldn't be that. Shouldn't be that this early for Garnacho. He's still learning. And I know Anthony's still fairly young, which we do forget, but he's more senior than him.
Yeah. And he's had more experience.
He's had more experience.
I think, Anthony just needs to take a leaf out of Garnacho's book. Because what Garnacho does is he just keeps going. Like, he'll take on his man 3 times, get tackled, push off the ball all 3 times, and he'll beat his man on the 4th go. Yeah. Anthony might get tackled the first 2 times and he'll stop. Yeah. That's what I think Anthony needs to do. It's almost at the point where he's almost hit kind of rock bottom in terms of what people think about him. So he's now got free reign to try things because people aren't going to think any worse of him at this point. So it's almost, I don't want to quite say blessing in disguise, but he's now been he's got a kind of a free hit now, because also United have nothing to play for. Bar the FA Cup, so Coventry in a couple of weekends' time, and then either Man City or Chelsea. But there's 7 Prem games left that United realistically have nothing much to play for, bar getting into the Europa League.
Yeah, you just got to put as much.
It's a clean.
The only thing we've got to play for now is to make sure that it doesn't get even more embarrassing. I.e., like you let Chelsea finish above you, and Newcastle or Brighton, West Ham, these kind of man, we finish 8th. Yeah, because it's that tight from 6th to 9th.
Chelsea
that can happen
now at all.
No, Chelsea got a game in hand, and if they win it, they're 2 points behind us.
Yeah.
And I know they're Chelsea, but That's what we're dealing with.
I do think in the grand scheme of things, that's not a massive major thing. That's a momentary, oh, you let Chelsea finish above you.
Yeah.
Forget by July,
Yeah,
realistically, because the season's so bad anyway.
Yeah, it's a write-off.
Yeah.
But further capitulation could put nails in Ten Hag's coffin, I think.
Oh, yeah,
if they're still unsure.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But when it's all said and done, if we don't get Champions League and don't win the FA Cup, which, you know, those two things could really, really happen. I don't know, Ineos could look at it and say, right, let's just make a change. But at the same time, even if we do win the FA Cup, or you just don't know what Ineos are thinking.
Yeah.
We don't know.
No one knows.
Yeah.
Even like the whole Barada thing, everyone was going, oh, it's going to be, even Fabrizio Romano was going to be Jean-Claude Blanc out of nowhere. Just Omar Barada.
Mental.
So realistically, Ineos have shown, this is something we discussed a while ago, they've shown that they keep their cards here, really close to their chest.
And it's the right thing to do, I suppose, with so much stuff at the club that's out there and getting leaked and stuff. I'm fed up with all that as well. Like, we want quick execution of decisions. And if you haven't made a decision yet, we don't need all the commentary and this, that and the other. I get it, it's Man United, there's going to be a certain element of that. But in terms of like doing something like that Omar Barada thing, that was done in a day, bro. Obviously, like, it was announced and completed within a day, but obviously they knew before. But
the news broke. And
we didn't, there was no lead up, the news broke, the Man United are going to get him. Then there was an official statement from City, Omar Barada has stepped down, we wish him all the best. Then there was an official statement from Man United, we welcome Omar Barada, done.
It all happened in an afternoon.
All happened in an afternoon. I'm on that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Even the Jason Wilcox thing seems fairly quick. Okay, they've got to get conversation, but he's coming. Like, John Murto is out. We're getting him now. Like, they didn't even wait to the end of the season.
I really hope that happens with our signings.
Oh, and then that's the next thing. Can we get signings over the deal?
It's like, you know, there's rumours going on all summer, and then suddenly, you know, out of nowhere, David Ornstein, exclusive, Man United signing this player. You go, we would never even linked him. He's holding the shot. Like, you remember when Liverpool signed Fabinho? Out of nowhere.
Nowhere.
It was like the first rumours came out at 2 p.m. and he was holding a shirt by 9 o'clock.
That's what we want.
That's what I want. That'd be quality.
Yeah.
We have that to look forward to, definitely.
Hopefully.
Definitely.
But with United, obviously, the summers are always, they're just so long. They're so long because the rumours start in March.
Yeah, well, that's what I was just thinking. Usually by this time, we've already apparently signed 5 players. You're already hearing rumours, we're signing this big signing.
Oh, don't worry, they're coming,
no, I'm not. Yeah, but I mean, by this time, you'd already hear them.
Yeah, true. To be fair, heading into it, there's usually a bit more.
You've got like some random Italian outlet claiming that we've signed Morata again.
But then again, actually, maybe people are just giving them less news. When you look on Twitter and stuff, that there is a lot of, you know, Man United have sent scouts to watch this guy in Brazil, or Man United have done this, and it's all bollocks, like, half the time. Well, we might have sent scouts, but half the time it's like,
the scouts are there just being a scout. They're not necessarily focusing on one player.
Man United sent scouts to watch a player. Yeah, that's their jobs. Every day, they're supposed to go and watch players and build up. Do your job, exactly. Yeah. So can we turn that into actually into signings?
Yeah, I think that about wraps up episode 12 of What the Devil. Thank you guys very much for watching. If you have any comments or thoughts on what we talked about, let us know below. Remember to subscribe, like the video, share it, listen on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and we'll see you next week.